Look at a standard business memo. So here we have our standard memo, and you can tell that by the format. The first thing we notice is up here right at the top, it says memo. Okay, so that's pretty clear to understand. We can also see that the rest of the format is also standard. It uses 1-inch margins all the way around. There is a very clear font. Right? There's nothing fancy here. There's nothing particularly elaborate or creative, and this is intentional, right? Because when you use a font like this, it really allows the message of the memo to come through, right? We're not distracted as readers by anything else. Okay, we can also see that underneath the heading of memo is some particulars that are important, kind of the who, what, and why of the memo. So it lists here the date that the memo was distributed. It tells us who the audience is, the project staff, who wrote the memo, the author, who it's from, their project leader, Maria Gonzalez, the subject of the memo, mandatory staff meetings. And then also this final thing here, which is CC, and that means carbon copy. And all that means is that this person, Irina Nabokov, the division manager, is also receiving a copy of the memo. So she isn't really the main author. Isn't really the main audience. That's the project staff, but she needs to know that this is happening, so she gets a copy as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the body of this memo to see how it illustrates 4 principles for clear writing. So those are 1, the clarity of subjects, 2, the strategic use of action verbs, 3, sentence cohesion, and 4, sentence concision. So let's start. When clarifying your subjects, you want to be explicit about who or what is performing the action of the sentence. If we look at the first paragraph, we see an example of this. Let's look here at the second sentence of this first paragraph. It says, all project members are required to attend. So the action of this sentence, are required to attend, right? Here's the verb and what they're required to do, is very clearly connected to the subject, project members. Okay, so this sentence is very clear in terms of who the project members, the subject, and what they're supposed to be doing, what action they're supposed to be completing. So the subject, the project members, are required to attend this meeting. Very clear, very direct. Now, the other thing about this sentence is that it's also an example of concision, right? And what we mean by that is that the sentence uses the least amount of words necessary to communicate its idea. So there's nothing extra here, right? It's direct, and it really leaves no room for interpretation, right? It says all project members are required to attend. So if you're receiving this memo, if you're one of these people, the project member, it's very clear that you have to attend these weekly staff meetings. Now, another example of a clarified subject is in the second paragraph. And here you'll see when it notes this information. Right? So we're looking at the second sentence here. Here, you will receive updated information about the progress of the project, details about the project's next steps, and information about your individual contribution to the success of the project. So again, the subject, you, right? That's the subject, and here's the action verb. They're very closely connected. Will receive. So you will receive. Right? This connects them directly. We don't have to really search out the subject and what the subject needs to be doing or what the subject will do. It's very clear at the opening of the sentence. That relationship between the subject, in other words, and the verb is very obvious. Now, in addition, this sentence also offers an example of the strategic use of action verbs. Verbs that communicate a specific action. Right, that makes sense. In this case, the verb will receive really does that job. It explains what the subject, you, the project staff or the project staff member, will be given at that meeting. What will happen? So you will receive, right? So this is really just telling us what's going to happen, what action is going to happen at that meeting. Now, our third principle, which is cohesion, or the clear connection between sentences, is also showcased in the second paragraph. Now, the paragraph begins by explaining why attendance is important. All right, so you remember the subject is the mandatory staff meetings, and everybody has to attend. They're all required. And now, following on the heels of that, we find out why that's necessary. And the sentence says, your attendance at these meetings is crucial to your job performance. So what's happening here is that we're really connecting not only from this sentence to the sentence that follows here, okay, but we're also connecting this sentence back up to the previous paragraph. So we're being told that not only are we all required to attend, but why, right? We're told that our attendance is crucial to job performance. So that connects, it provides coherence between these two paragraphs. So if we look at the sentence after this, here you will receive, right? And this tells you exactly what you're going to be given. It kind of explains to you why you need to attend these meetings and how it's going to be crucial to your job performance. It says you'll receive updated information about the progress of the project. You'll receive details about the project's next step, and you'll receive information about your individual contribution to the success of the project. So in order for you to be an effective team member, right, to be an effective project member, which is why your attendance is crucial, you need access to all of this information. And so these meetings, these series of meetings, is going to give you the access to information that you need in order to be a successful team member. Okay, so finally, if we look at the opening up here and the closing lines of this memo, we see further examples of sentence concision. So both of these sort of opening sentences here are direct, they're short, and they provide only the most essential information. So really this opener here is giving us a very nice introduction and almost really an overview to what the entire memo is about. So it says, starting this fall, our weekly staff meetings will be held on Wednesdays at 8:15 a.m. in our conference room. This is directly related to the subject up here, mandatory staff meetings, right? This is the subject of the memo. And then the memo starts by directly addressing that subject, right? So if the subject is mandatory staff meetings, it tells us that beginning in the fall, all of these staff meetings, right, which are mandatory, where they're going to be held and when they're going to be held. It really just gives us the details. So there's nothing extra here. There's really nothing to get in the way of the meaning, nothing to kind of distract you from what the writer, Maria Gonzalez, wants you to know, which is that you have weekly staff meetings, when they're going to be, and where they're going to be. And then the second part of this opening is equally as direct and concise, right? It says all project members are required to attend. So again, this is explicit, this is clear, there's nothing superfluous, no extra adjectives or adverbs, no extra clauses, nothing more than the basic information. So you need to know when the staff meetings are, where the staff meetings are, and the fact that you are required to be there. And that's what this opening tells you. And you see similar action happening in the closing of this memo. This memo closes by inviting you, right, the project staff member, to contact the author, Maria Gonzalez, your project leader, if you have a conflict with these meetings or if you have any questions about them. And so it really just tells you that very directly. If you have a conflict or any questions about the staff meetings, contact me at my extension. And she gives her extension here. It provides you with the information that you need, but nothing extra. So I hope that you found this review of these 4 principles useful, and I encourage you to practice these strategies in your own writing.